Sometimes mistakes are an opportunity. You can shine more by making a mistake and correcting it. When something goes wrong and you go over and above and you correct it and you do really well with the correction, that's when they say, wow, this company or this person I can count on. They're going to give you even more work later. Hi, I'm Danny Battista, and I'm the president of Torque Builders. I'm born and raised in Toronto. My parents are of Italian origin. They're Italian immigrants. So I grew up speaking Italian at home and then English at school. I was a translator for my parents with various documents. Read this, and can you write this check? And I was like in grade 2, grade 3. And I remember my dad asking me to do something, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And he goes, what do you mean? What are they teaching you at school? What are they teaching me at school? They're not teaching me how to run finances, and maybe we should be looking at that. But I'm an only child. Parents were very lovely people, but typical Italian immigrants, quiet, shy, worked hard. We made our own food. We grew our own vegetables. We put them in the freezer over the winter. We reused them. Tomato sauce, sausages, wine, the very like prototypical. That was my upbringing. I would say I was more than a ham and egger student. I was a good student. I was neat, pretty organized. I liked to joke around a lot. I was ADHD without the diagnosis. Then they didn't diagnose that. They just said, oh, this guy's wild, right? And I used to get distracted easily, but I was capable. And in grade 6, I was put in a class with a teacher named Dan Nicholson. And that guy was the best guy for me at the right time. Like a real gift from God to have someone like him. I respected him. He was cool. He was into sports. So I was able to get the sports thing, and he was able to motivate me academically. And I remember the first parent-teacher interview we had with him. My parents took me with them to go meet this guy. And we're sitting there, and my mother asks, Mr. Nicholson, tell me, is he smart or is he stupid? He goes, no, he's smart. Okay, hit him. Okay, beat him until he understands. He goes, no, we don't need to do anything like that. And when he heard that, he had support from a parent, like when a child brings a parent that's interested and supportive, the teacher can do their work. So I was lucky that way that my parents, academics was a non-negotiable. And whatever capacity I was at, that's the level I had to hit. I couldn't, if I was up to here, my parents said, you got to be up to here. If I was here, it's like, okay, we'll work with what he has. But once she heard I was here, that's it. It is ingrained in my mind. I'm very driven to get things done. I don't care what, why, where, how. It's going to happen. I'm going to do this. And I don't give a hoot. It's happening. So that mentality, that's innate. I have that. And when I get something in my head that I want, I'm gonna make it happen. If I think there's value in it. My mom, I guess, is like that to a certain extent, but I give my dad credit for other things, but not that necessarily. He's a pretty quiet, shy, easygoing guy. And my mom, she's a go-getter. She's entrepreneurial. She was a good talker and a good doer and stuff like that. No, this one I think I got from the grace of God. I'm an only child, so I had to use my imagination a lot because I didn't have someone to play with all the time. And I used to role play being a contractor because I loved construction. So I used my imagination. And we had some friends of the family. They were like these small little contractors, painting contractors and little GCs that they were doing work. So I would watch them and try to emulate them on my own when I was in the garage in the backyard. And I would paint the garage. I would pretend that I was going to give a quotation to a customer and then doing the job and then literally go through all the steps that I saw them go through. So I was building, acting like a little business person, worker guy, in in real life. And as I got older, I did painting. So I signed up for a program in North Toronto. It was called Saints, Senior Assistants in North Toronto. And it was like for part-time work. And so you're helping out seniors, and they ask you, what would you like to do? And I checked off the painting box. So they were sending me referrals of seniors that needed painting work. So I'd go do painting jobs for these lovely seniors, and they'd have me around their house for a couple days, a week or so. And, you know, it was good company for them. They'd, you know, give me a snack, a ginger ale. I would do a project. And one particular project I took on was to paint the exterior of the house. And this is like a 2-story house, on Lawrence Park. So, and it was high. And I had to do all the windows, the eaves trough, and the soffits. And that's high work. So I did all the lower stuff. I got that out of the way first. And I was trying to say, okay, I'm done. But the lady, the customer, pulled out a contract that I had signed and agreed with her. And she said, no, you agreed to paint the soffits. And I said, yeah, you're right. So I recruited someone from my neighborhood to help me. He was an older kid, and he had his dad's station wagon, his dad's ladder. And I got him, please, can you go paint that for me? And he finished the job, and she was satisfied. I got paid. I paid him, and I got myself out of a bit of a jam there. So that's something that I used to, like, you know, hustle, make a few dollars. I always had a part-time job, working in a pro shop in an arena, working a retail store. You know, always making that little, that's something my parents instilled, that they liked, that, you know, you earned a little bit of money for yourself. And I contributed to the family as well. My parents didn't make a lot of money. So whatever money I made, I gave it there, and I got communist redistribution out of it. So I've had several over the years, but I want to encourage people to not look for the mentor, like the go-to guy for everything, or gal or lady. Mentors come in different shapes and sizes, okay? And a mentor could be part of your life for a 20-second conversation. And that conversation will make something click in your mind, and that you go on. So like from a business acumen standpoint, I didn't have any experience in business. Both my parents worked in a factory. Like there was none whatsoever. They were very against me starting in business, where they would bother me every day. Don't do it, don't do it. And the more they said don't do it, the more I did it. So a Warren Buffett would be someone that I took a lot of good information from. So not necessarily from him, other than the discipline that he has for investing, but more so from the companies that he invested in. So he would describe in a lot of detail all the businesses that he liked and why, and what made them good to invest in. So I would be reading that and just soaking it in, saying, I want to be one of the businesses that this guy would want to invest in, because it must be worthwhile. It generates cash, you know, and all the metrics that he likes. So that's what I got to do. So I would say he would be like the biggest one overall for the longest period of time. And then there were like various friends of the family that had that little entrepreneurs. They kind of sparked that initial flame that kind of got things going as a kid. And I would role play some of the things that they would do, and I wanted to try and be like them, even though they were just simple guys. But they were still doing, you know, they had a business, they had their phone number on a truck, they had an office in their house, they had a bigger house, they had a Lincoln Continental in the driveway, they had a phone in the car. Like in the 70s, that was a big deal. So those things influenced me from that standpoint. From another standpoint, I wanted to be a professional athlete. So I had two paths, two masters I was trying to serve, and eventually the professional athlete had to fall away, and then I pursued the academic and the business road, which served me a lot better. The high school I went to was selected for me. I didn't have a choice to go to. I went to St. Michael's College School at Bathurst and St. Clair, and I played football there. That was kind of what I wanted to do. And but I was academic, and I was getting the hang of things at the school, the way things work. And because you come from grade school, you have to be wearing a uniform. You're dealing with other students now. You have to reestablish yourself. Around 15, my parents would always bring me to talk to people that were professionals, like within our sphere of friends. So if so-and-so had become a pharmacist, okay, we're going to go visit that family and we're going to talk to their son. And so I talked to the son. The son would tell me about pharmacy and where he went to school. And I was like, wow, that's really nice. And, you know, I'd get a little bit motivated. And then we would have another friend of the family who studied engineering, and he was doing not engineering anymore, he was doing import-export, and he talked to me. We had a neighbor who was guiding my mother in terms of education. She was saying, you know, you got to go here, you got to go there. And then this thing about engineering came together. So I had an interest in construction. Engineering was a good academic, so I had to satisfy my parents. Otherwise, I would have become a tradesman. I liked bricklaying and concrete. That would have been somewhere I would have pursued and then eventually tried to be where I am today. Probably not exactly, but who knows, maybe more, but maybe not. I wouldn't want to change it now. So the engineering thing became more like palatable, and I talked to the counselors at school. And so my interest was at construction. Engineering kind of validated my, because, you know, in the 70s we're, you know, of Italian background, not that there's anything wrong, but we were immigrants still. So you needed that academic to help boost you further. And it's a good story, the way it comes together. So, you know, Italian background, construction, engineering. And I said, that's it. I'm doing civil engineering. I'm going to go to the University of Toronto, and I want to have my own construction company. And that's that. So from when I was 15, everything kind of came together. I did 4 years at the University of Toronto, and the economy in 1990 was miserable. So it was a large real estate recession. And I always had a job, but I was always working on site. And I did it reluctantly, but I did it. And, you know, obviously in hindsight, it was the best place to learn, because when you're in our industry, you have to know how, like we build. So you're not going to build things sitting behind a desk. You build outside, working with people, machines, materials. You have to know how stuff happens. And I kept getting put back on site. I was always on site. And then in 1990, I had a job full-time working on bridges. It was good, but I got fed up with working on site, because the previous 4 summers I worked on site, and long days, you know, you don't get paid a lot. So I was a little frustrated. And I decided to go back to school. So I did a master's degree in structural engineering, so more specialization. And I had a great time. I enjoyed it. We were some buddies, some of the best days of my life together. Then 92 comes around, and the economy's even worse, and we couldn't get a job. I finally got a job. My, at the time, girlfriend, her dad introduced me to a company, and I got a job working on site again. And I worked on site, and I really, this was no more going back to school, and I was focused to learn, get through it the best I could. And throughout the whole 90s, the economy was pretty rough. So I had to move around. Started with one job, then moved to another company, again working on site, doing single family housing. Prior to that, I was doing high-rise residential. So here I went, the summers in school, I did heavy civil work. So roads, concrete box culverts, a lot of grading, highways, some bridge work. Then I went to bridge work. Then I went to high-rise residential. Then I went to single family. So my tool belt is like stacked, okay? Meanwhile, I don't realize that all I was doing was complaining about, I don't like waking up at 4 in the morning to get to work for 5:30, because they made me responsible to get things open. But, you know, later, think of it like that movie, I'm dating myself, but The Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, he makes some sand and wax. It's like, what am I doing this for? What am I doing this for? And complaining, and then he throws him a punch, instincts kick in. Same. So you may not realize what you're doing is beneficial. You should check in with some people to make sure, because you could maybe go off stray. So that's where like a good mentor or mentors along the way, so that you can stay on your path to where you want to go. And then that job ended. I got another like nonsense job, again, just scrapping. And I thought, like, I'm highly educated. I graduated like from a great prestigious university, and I'm like doing these jobs. And I was a little disappointed with everything. I became a little like disillusioned with the country and what there's no opportunities for us. And this is in the 90s. So I know people feel the same way today. So it's not just today. It's like every generation or every decade, you know, these things do occur. And my girlfriend and my wife at the time, we went to Staples and we bought a printer, a laser printer. And I thought that was like amazing. It was economical too. So I bought the laser printer and I was going to crank out resumes and cover letters. So I went to the library, got all the list of all the companies, the listing of construction companies in the association, start cranking out letters, personalize them, send it to the right person that I could find, make calls to see who was there, and I sent out a bunch of letters. I got a call from someone, and they said, okay, we'd like to interview you. I said, yeah, sure. And I went to meet these people, and I was, you know, dressed up, and we had a nice walk, and they said, okay, we'd like to hire you. Great. So I reported to the office on a Monday, and I was dressed up. I was wearing a blazer, dress pants, and a blue shirt. And I remember the owner of the company said, this guy's not a super. He looks too good to be a site super. And then they asked me if I could do takeoffs, quantity takeoffs. I said, yeah, I know how to do that. So someone showed me what to do. I did it. Someone checked it, and they said everything's correct. I never went back on site after that. So this former employer's boss, grateful for him giving me the opportunity, and he basically gave me the forum to succeed, and I seized the opportunity. I worked, I learned, I was doing business development, I was doing estimating, project manager. I was like, I got it. That was kind of the turning point in my career. It was around 2003. I was working for a very nice company, great organization, like extremely successful. And I wanted to do more. I was like, I would have been okay there. I just wanted to have more like control maybe, or more authority. But, you know, there was a hierarchy that had very capable people. So you just kind of have to wait your turn. It's the corporate world. And I didn't know if I was suited to be the corporate guy. Like I wanted to be more an entrepreneurial person. So I started reaching out to people that I knew from school, from university, or people I used to work with. And they were working at companies that had the ability to award contracts to do, you know, repairs, maintenance, construction type stuff, smaller stuff. I called them all and asked them, you know, I'd like to start some GC construction work on my own. Would you support me? Would you give me a shot? And they all said, yeah, sure, we'll give you something to do. And so got up the courage, quit my job, 2 small babies at home. My wife was still on maternity leave, so she had a full-time job as a teacher. And yeah, I let my boss know I'm going to be leaving, and they were like disappointed. And you know, I felt badly too. They're good guys. It was, you know, it's not a nice experience to leave. However, it's something I wanted to pursue. And I worked there for another month. And in the meantime, I was getting set up. And then February 1st, 2003, I called those guys that I talked to. I said, would you still? Yeah, they go, yeah, come get something. And so we started, you know, corresponding, and I'd go look at some work, give a quote. They say, okay, yeah, go ahead. And, you know, hanging out with one client, and he says, well, we got to replace these windows. Would you do that? I go, yeah, why not? So called the window guy, went to measure, and we replaced some windows at a hospital. I was so proud that was my job. I did that. And, you know, it was a nothing job. I made some money on that, and I knew I was on my way. That's actually something that's not talked about much. Is the hardest thing in business is the team, your staffing. So I was by myself for maybe 8 months, and then I hired my first employee, and it didn't quite work out. So within 3 months, we just parted ways. Like I'm very intense, and I have a lot at stake. So when we got to do something, I'm very focused and driven. Not everybody shares that same passion or enthusiasm or intensity. So you got to get people that have the same sort of fear, let's say, because fear is a great motivator, or at least people that take direction well. And you have to see what do you need, what's missing. So I was able to hire some really good field guys that work outside on this. So I hired more senior gentlemen that were used to doing big projects, and they were happy to kind of work with a company like with me and do some smaller stuff. And they had the intelligence to manage it, but it wasn't the big pressure of finishing a $20 million school by September. And they were like, really, I'm very grateful to them for deciding to come and help me. So I met through networking, through a recruiter friend of mine who helped me with staffing. And I've had a lot of people come through, younger people, older people. Some it worked out. My assistant's been with me for 21 years, so she's somebody that stuck it out. And she's very, very dedicated, very loyal, very lucky to have somebody like her working with me. I always craved that A guy. Like in our industry, we call them A guys. You need to have the work to satisfy their ambition, right? Like, even though I was willing to pay the A salary, I didn't have the work to match the A guy. So I had to get by with who I could and have more support on certain projects. But we found our niche. We worked in certain sectors, and I call it punched within our weight class. And until you have the right people to manage the work that you want to take on, don't go do that work. The evolution of the company has been commensurate with. So it didn't go from here to here. There were rungs on a ladder. You walk up a ladder one or two, maybe rungs at a time. And we had the projects, and then we got some people. Then lucky we got really good people, and then you take a jump and you match those projects to those people so you can get a boost there. And then you try to stay at that level for a while. Then you reach and you land another bigger project that, okay, we're going to have to maybe put 2 guys on that, and you can get by. And then you always have a backstop. As long as the company has some of those A guys, you can always kind of move them around and focus. So it's a very much the staff, the capability of the people, the types of projects, and then the capital in the background to be able to support this work. I've tried to always stay diversified in multiple market sectors. Some of our competitors or other companies, they focus on 1, maybe 2. So it's retail, and they just do retail. And, I was doing data center work. We were doing retail work. We're doing office work. We're doing work in transportation environments like at airport, Go Transit. So we're barking up all these different trees. So you're spread out. And you do pay a price for that, because I could have dived in deeper and could have got bigger faster, staying in one sector only. And when you're in, 1 or 2 only, if that sector dies down, you're done. So during COVID, we were shut down. So we were building the condos we were doing, that was allowed to proceed. And we were also allowed to continue renovating the apartments that we had. And that work there carried the whole company. But we made money there, and we were able to survive because of it. If we didn't have any of that, I would have been using the savings that I worked so hard to put aside to keep things going. I didn't lay anybody off. We tried to, we kept all the staff, because, without people, there's no business. So I prioritized that. And we were able to get by. So there's the value of having some diversification. You don't want to be too dependent on any one thing. You need, like they say about investing, you want to have, different market sectors and so on and so forth. But ultimately, it's about picking good clients, customers that treat you fairly, and that pay, that have a fair process. Those are wonderful, and they have a lot of work. Those are the best clients. You need to be qualified. So qualification means resume or past work. Because when a client solicits quotations or contractors to do their work, they're looking to match their project with your capabilities. So how do we demonstrate that? We show, well, this is what we've done for so-and-so, we've done that project for this other company. So you're building some confidence in their willingness to want to hire you. And then, so there's a qualification process. So your references or the work you've done in the past better have been done well, because you're going to rely on your past projects, your past, hopefully, successes to leverage for your future projects. Okay, so you can't necessarily go from here to here in one shot, but with time, you can evolve from here to the next rung, to the next one, and so on. Sometimes you can make a bigger jump, a bigger leap. It depends on the client and the situation, and then if you feel confident with the right staff. So we identify clients that we'd like to work with, and we start to introduce ourselves, send them some information, check on their responsiveness. Again, there's a lot of trust, and there's a lot at stake here. They're spending millions of dollars. They have, obligations they need to make. They want to make sure that they're hiring someone that can fulfill them. So we get an opportunity. They say, okay, we have a project that we'd like you to look at. So then it comes in, and we put a price together. So we get quotes from subcontractors. They do the various parts of the work, the concrete work, the steel, the electrical, mechanical. And we assemble all those prices together, and we respond with a number. And, sometimes there's clarifications required. And, if our price is good, our schedule is good, they'll say, okay, we give you the go-ahead there. And we enter into a contract for a certain amount of money over a certain amount of time. And we know with a scope of work, which is, construct this project for us. And then we assign a team of people, and we have a field on staff. We have managers from the office and health and safety, and we proceed to initiate the project, hire the subcontractors that work for us. Every month we submit a progress draw, so we send an invoice based on the work that's been put in place. They pay it, repeat next month, same thing, and we get to the point where the project is substantially complete. There's been inspections along the way, we've corrected issues along the way, and the project's ready to hand over. We apply for a substantial completion certificate, and we basically wait to collect the rest of our money. And that's a successful project. It's interesting. If you work safely, your productivity goes up. So for instance, housekeeping, which means, garbage. So pieces of wood, pieces of concrete, coffee cups, insulation, drywall, steel studs. It's all sorts of stuff that gets accumulated on the site. If you maintain the site clean, someone on that site is going to be less willing to make it dirty because it'll stand out. So you're setting a culture. Now, the cleaning, we have to spend money doing it. So there's someone that's designated to keep the job site clean. And so that's an investment. So we're spending money on that. So a clean job site. And then you have to stay on people because it's like repetitive. Okay, where your heart at. And then we document things. Move that pile over there. That's not. So hazard analysis. So our field supervisor, that's probably the biggest thing he does. He documents field hazard analyses. He goes around and checks to see that things are not dangerous. So immediately and deal with it. If there's a high hazard activity, we request a procedure from the subcontractors. So one thing we're big on is if you force a team of workers to think about how they're going to do the job before they go do it, they can work out any issues on the ground, on a nice, comfortable, safe table, or standing around looking at it. Oh, I never thought of that. When you're up 40 feet and you're strapped in and you got heavy stuff and you got to think about what you're doing, that's too late. It's not a good time to be doing that. Think about it ahead, written procedure. Everybody reads it. It's created, it's developed. Everybody understands. And then you go up and you do what you're supposed to do. If at any time someone feels that they're not safe, they have the right to refuse work. I want that. Stop. Please, come down. It's okay. Everybody gets paid. Don't worry, no one's going to lose any salary because of that. So we have to figure out how we're going to do this in a safe way. Now, we leave it to the people that are the trade-specific contractors. That's their expertise. We're the managers of the entire job site. So, we're ultimately responsible, but we rely on their expertise to figure that out. And we evaluate while we're there. That's our role to make sure. So it's a culture. And if you have a culture of discipline, you're going to get discipline. If you have a culture of being on time, people are going to be on time. If you have a culture of working safely, they know already going into the site, oh, okay, here, I got to wear this. I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to do that. And we build in whatever time peculiarities that might cause, and it's okay. And if a customer is pushing where we got to compromise the safety, I'm going to hand the keys and say, here, you do it. I'm not going to do it. So we talk about evaluating clients. They care too about health and safety. It's an expectation. That's why they're hiring us, because we have these procedures and rules in place, protocols. So documenting things is very important, but also teaching or showing or ensuring that the company they work for, they're providing everything they're supposed to provide and not allowing things to go on that shouldn't go on. And unfortunately, you can do all that right, and a person can have a bad day at work. And that's the reality of our industry. Some things are grossly negligent and inexcusable. So I always ask myself, okay, what can I do to not have anything happen? Or did we do anything, or did we not do something that could have prevented that? So always with that guise and direction in our minds, make sure you do everything, and there's no budget. You spend whatever you got to spend. I don't care. Okay? We're not cutting corners for that. See a railing? Call whoever you got to call. Put it up yourself. Go buy what you need to buy. Stop it. We'll take the hit. If we're delayed a day, 2 days, it's okay. We'll tell everybody why. Fully transparent. This was not safe. We made a mistake, or this one, but we withdrew and we waited until we got our stuff together, and then we could proceed and re-engage. Oh, most clients are going to say, okay, but why don't you make up the time now? And then we'll figure out, okay, so I got to pay some overtime. We're going to work extra days, work on the weekends, and we make up that time. But you're going to see the reaction from workers. They're going to feel like it's hard. I'm not saying this is easy, because people want to hurry up and go, but you got to make sure. I've had some health and safety mentors, and it was painful, but I embraced it, and it served me well as a result. We throw around numbers, 5 million, 10 million. So 100 million has a significance in our industry. So when we surpassed $100 million of sales, I was like, wow. But we didn't surpass it. We shattered it and went way, way beyond that. And the people that knew me from the early days that are still involved, and they provide different services and banking and insurance and bonding. And when they saw, and I'm like, yeah, and they were like, wow, did you ever imagine? I go, no, never imagined. And I'm somebody that's ambitious and, fairly confident, humble, but very confident in what we do. And to hit those sorts of numbers was just mind-boggling. It wasn't like, you win a lottery and you start jumping for joy. It was, everybody's a success after 22 years in business. It was the culmination of, don't put this on. Fuck. The son of immigrants. There's my dad. Just work and drive. Persistence and consistency. Fuck. Maybe it's coming to me now. But it was like a surreal feeling, like, wow, like, I don't believe it. But it was very measured, very controlled. It wasn't, it was like, holy shit. Thank God. Unbelievable. A good wife, great kids, a good upbringing, and a lot of desire, right? So yeah, if you want to go down the stereotype road, for sure, it's like we're known to, like if anyone's been to Italy and you see what's been built by the Romans, like some pretty, and these things are still standing. The concrete they had, they used pozzolans, so there's a lime in the concrete, so they call it Roman concrete. It lasts forever. It's still intact. The concrete we produce today has a shelf life. So they were very advanced. So I don't know my exact descendants, but they're from Italy, so I don't know if there's there's a Roman. So my interest or passion in construction is innate. I was born with it. It just came out. And my oldest son, he's the same. Like from when he was an infant, he was already gravitating to those sorts of things, and I just watched and let him go, right? And he works with us today, and like he's a natural at it. So from that standpoint, yes, it has everything to do with my, and there's other Italian builders and contractors here from, the same background that have built a lot. In fact, someone that worked here, she told me, she goes, oh, I visited Italy. She goes, wow, no wonder the Italian guys, you guys can build like the stuff that was there, the architecture and the buildings. And it was like, wow, she made me think. And I go, yeah, absolutely. So I definitely got some good genes passed down. Like my grandfather, his father, and they were all in building. They were all in building, construction, concrete, bricks, masonry, stone. That's where they came from. That's their lineage. So that has everything to do with me being here today, for sure. It's good if they talk to anybody, as many people as possible that actually work in the industry. So if you have a friend of a friend or know someone that knows someone, try to go have a coffee with them and talk about what they do and what they like and don't like about it. Maybe any risks that they perceive, and then get their opinion as far as like, yeah, don't do this, or yeah, this is good. So I would definitely start there. With respect to academic institutions, there's different colleges that we have, like a George Brown, Seneca, and they offer training for like trade level workers. So there's electrical, there's bricklaying, carpentry, like HVAC, carpentry seemed to be more popular, but welding, big time. We had an uncle, he was a welder, a fitter. That guy made a great living, like had rental properties, had so much money in the bank. Like it's amazing what you can, just with discipline, consistency. I mentioned bricklaying, anything concrete oriented. There's lots of opportunity in the electrical, especially fire alarm. Like within electrical, there's so many little specializations you can get into, and this is a huge city. Like the Greater Toronto Hamilton area, I don't know, it's like 12 million people. It's like the third or fourth largest metropolis in North America. Like, we have a lot of stuff here that breaks down, that needs to be repaired, that needs to be built. So they're still, expanding our city and growing. So there's lots to do. You're never going to be without any kind of work. Pick something you're interested in, because when you have an interest and a passion for it, it'll help you work harder, work more. You'll be better at it, which in turn will make you more money as a result. So you may need to kind of retrain yourself a little bit along the way, or pivot, maybe work. So you're almost kind of entrepreneurial when you're in the trades, because you're the work center, and you can apply your skill anywhere you like. And because it's a real skill with training, and you can go find something somewhere to do. I've always made myself available to anybody that has questions. So like from a mentoring standpoint, I've had, the various people that have worked here, but also my, let's say like my son's friends. They invariably come to me to ask questions. From a personal standpoint, so like I'm Torque, I'm very generous with my knowledge and my experiences, good and bad. And I don't hold back. I'll tell you anything you want to know. Financial contributions to various, let's say causes, but to organizations. So I like to give direct. My son played baseball in the organization that he played in. I approached the manager there and I said, I'd like to offer my support to any kids that come through here that maybe can't pay, but they're good kids, they have some talent. And he goes, okay, I'll keep that in mind. And he came to me with someone, and he go, yeah, we got a guy for you. I said, sure, yeah. I go, just keep it quiet. I'm not into publicity. I'm very shy. And the mom was really grateful. I got some feedback there, and then I kind of let it go. So many years later, I meet the mom at the gym I train at, because I knew who it was. And I tell our coach, the owner of the gym, so he knew. And then one morning I couldn't keep it anymore. I told her. She was like crying, and like it was an incredible thing, the way we sort of reconnected like that. So she really wanted to know. I didn't know she really wanted to know, because I just didn't want to be known. And it came back, and her son plays in major leagues now. And I keep getting told, without you, that I go, what do you mean without me? I did nothing. The guy's like a phenomenal person, for starters. Yeah. A great athlete. He's an incredible person. And a great family. Yeah. So I like to give people a chance, or like if there's or my youngest son played football reluctantly. He played in an organization. A lot of kids from, challenging backgrounds, but they wanted to play, and they were good, and they were aggressive. I said, the equipment is all old. It's not very good. Okay, here's a check. Go buy brand new stuff for these guys. So they get all this brand new equipment, and they're like, all excited. And we go to the final championships. Okay, a school bus? No, we're not taking the school bus. We're taking a coach bus this time. And it'll be fully catered. There and back. Sensational. Like, these kids, they just warmed my heart. My young guy was part of it. And that's how I like to contribute. And then another story where I was, it was football oriented, and a mother came up to me and she said, I know who you are. And I'm like, oh, what did I do? How do you know me? She goes, you're the guy that helped the program over here. And I go, yeah, it was me. She goes, I'm a single mom, and my son, I lost my job, and I told my son, you're not gonna be able to play, I can't afford it. And then we got a call that someone helped out, and he was able to play. He was overjoyed. Like, come on. If those types of stories, that's what I love. I do that all day long. But I also do more traditional type support, hospitals. But dear to my heart is young kids that need a chance to play. That's That's the ultimate. No matter what age you're at, like I have this hand expression, like gotta go, gotta go. Like you gotta have like a nervous, not energy, but like a nervous disposition where you can't sit still because I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta make something happen. So that's sort of my version of what you're presenting. The hustle never dies. And when you're in business, you always gotta smile, you always gotta go to a meeting, you gotta go shake someone's hand, you gotta get in the mud. So you never stop working to make money. That's what it means to me. This is Danny Battista, and you're watching The Hustle Never Dies.